Hello there, everybody. Welcome back, and this is the second part or first part, depending on when exactly they get uploaded, of this collab series talking about the Marvel movies and shows released in 2021. And I'm here with my good friend Aaron. Hello, Aaron. You want to say hi?
Hello, everybody. This is the first time I've been on Sawyer's channel. I've done collabs with other people, but this is the first time I've been on your channel. And hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, and it's great to have you here because usually I'm going on your channel because I've done a few videos with you in the past, but it's great to be the host in a way of a collab. And of course, on his channel, when you go look to see his videos are the movies, because you couldn't put both of these into one video, it would just be too long. So on his video, it's all the movies that they released, which was Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and the Spider-Man No Way Home. Here we have the shows being Wandavision, Falcon Winter Soldier, What If, Loki, and Hawkeye. So enough intro, let's just dive right into it. So we're going to do this in release order, kind of like with the movies we did in release order. So first we'll talk about WandaVision, but we did do a collab when that came out on his channel if you want to check that out. So we're going to kind of sum it up quickly because we don't want to spend too much time on it. So
Yeah.
Aaron, do you have any thoughts that you want to talk about with WandaVision that you haven't mentioned already?
I mean, we did a pretty good job back last year, pretty much summing up most of our thoughts on the show when it was, because we released that video not long after it had finished. The only thing that I really have to add to it is that I feel like the more time that has passed, I somewhat appreciate the homages to sitcoms a little bit more. But even then, I kind of agree with what I said back then, with it feeling a bit like missed potential in a few places, especially the way the final few episodes go, and they kind of sacrifice what they were setting up for more like traditional Marvel big fight stuff. Do you have anything to add?
Nothing particular of the show, just the recognition and reception it received, because people are acting like it's like the second coming of Jesus with this show, because it's getting all the praise and love for the award circuits at the Golden Globes and whatever the TV version of award shows are, Emmys or whatever.
Yeah.
It's getting best performance, best narrative, best drama, and all this nonsense. And I'm just blown away because the clearly better Marvel show was Loki, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
the fact that this, which we'll dive into later, but the fact that this is getting all the awards attention and all that is just kind of frustrating, because this was mid at best and trash at worst. So
I mean, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, summing it up in a nutshell. It was meh, but also kind of crap.
Moving on, no more of this garbage. Now we're going to talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now this was the second one that was released, and I was really looking forward to this because this and WandaVision were the ones that got a lot of marketing at the start before all the shutdowns happened. So that was for months while we waited for Marvel content. These were the two that we had enough material to do fan theory videos or speculation on. So the hype was pretty big for these two in particular. But going into this, I thought overall it was a much better show, just on how it really dives into, I thought it makes sense for Sam Wilson not just immediately having the role, because he felt like he didn't want to take it over from Captain America. But also, it really dives into a lot of important themes going on in our world.
Yeah. About
a lot of people would not want to see that type of Captain America, and just a lot of the prejudices and stuff. So I thought it was... It could have gone wrong if they did it in a bad way, but I thought it was handled really well.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of the ramifications of Bucky dealing with, all the people he hurt when he was mind controlled and all. I thought all that was handled really well.
Yeah.
And the villain was okay. I didn't really love the villain in a way.
No,
but
I'll agree with that. I'm not a massive fan of... What were they called? The Flag Smashers? Is that the name of them?
Well, that's the thing. It's weird because you can look at it as like two villains. The discount Captain America as a villain in a way, and the Flag Smashers. I didn't even remember their names, so there you go. But I mean, I saw what they were going for. I just thought it wasn't really executed right. Because it came off as similar to Black Panther, where everyone sees why Killmonger is doing what he's doing. Yeah. But you have a lot of people out there, a lot of crazies that I've seen on Twitter and all saying, he's right, he should be doing that.
I can kind of see where you're coming from, because I feel like a lot of, not just Marvel-related stuff, but a lot of the best villains, like let's take Thanos, for example, it's like you can kind of see where...
Marvel.
Yeah, it's the first one that came to mind, but like, he's a villain where, like, you can see where he's coming from, but it's the fact that he's taking his beliefs too far is what makes him a villain, and what crosses the line between, yeah, I can see where he's coming from, but he's going about it in completely the wrong way. The same goes with, like you said, Killmonger in Black Panther. But going off of what you're saying, it sounds like people are just taking... They don't know where that line is, and they're taking it way too seriously in terms of rooting for the villain.
On top of that, I really love the character of the discount Captain America, because I thought he was going to be a typical jerk and stuff, and everyone on Twitter hated him and stuff, and the actor got death threats, which I feel bad for him. But I thought his portrayal was really good, because it's just like like the main thing that people hated him with when he, killed that guy with the shield. Personally, I understand, and I know why he did it, because that group killed his friend in front of him. So it's like he wanted vengeance in some way. But that's not what Captain America does, so that shows that he isn't really Captain America. No one will ever be Captain America. But he's a flawed character, and you understand why he was doing what he was doing. And I felt like he kind of redeemed himself at the end when he saved Falcon and all that in that final fight, which is hard to remember because I haven't seen the show in like a year.
Can we talk about the real MVP of the show though, Zemo?
Zemo, yes,
has to be Zemo. Like, for his purpose in Civil War, he was used correctly, I guess, and like his reason for being there was justified, but he felt slightly underutilized in that film, so the fact that he has more to do in this show was kind of really good to see, because Daniel Bruhl's a brilliant actor, and the fact that he gets to play off of Bucky and Sam just a little bit more is really, really good. And I feel like he kind of steals every scene he's in this film, especially the dance scene, which that could be a whole, like, we could spend a whole hour just discussing that as a form of like art. Overall, I like the show, but I don't love it, and I feel like there's a lot of elements like holding it back from being really, really good. But one element of this show that I really liked, and it kind of keeps that Russo brothers continuity, is that it does feel like it fits. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, it feels, the look of the show
just from the
feels
cinematography and how the color grading. It feels like Russo brothers worked on it.
Yeah, like, it feels like it fits within that same universe that the Russo brothers set up with Winter Soldier and then carried on with Civil War. It feels like it fits that kind of... It's still MCU, but it just feels a tiny bit grittier, but not too far. And there is one thing I feel about this show, and I feel like Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of started this, and then a lot of the other shows that followed later in the year kept doing it. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but my opinion is that Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts off a bit... It starts off alright, but you're kind of just like, I hope this picks up in quality. And it peaks in the middle with John Walker killing the guy in public. And then the subsequent episode after that, where like Bucky and Sam are trying to get the shield off of him. Those two episodes, the ones that appear right in the middle, are absolutely brilliant. And then the show maintains like an okay level of quality in the last few episodes, and I feel like that's kind of the case for the majority of the shows they released last year, where like starts off fine, peaks in the middle, and then it either goes one of two ways with the last few episodes. It either gets better or it just kind of meanders. But I think the one show that actually was just good from start to finish was just Loki, whereas all the other shows kind of peaked in the middle. Loki was just legitimately good from start to finish.
Yeah.
But we'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah, so I think that's a good segue. So we should move on to Loki, which was the next release. And Loki, fairly enough, I know we're only the third show in, but it's safe to say for me it's my favorite one of the bunch. And I was shocked because my sister was hyping it up, and all the Loki fangirls and fanboys were really hyping it up just because, oh, it's Loki. And I was like, I'm so sick of Loki. But this has more to do than just Loki. Just the fact that this was the real start of the multiverse.
Yeah.
Before Spider-Man, Doctor Strange 2 was really one of the many reasons why I love this show, because it just opens up the world of Marvel, and really it was like a mystery thriller, because every episode you're wondering the mysteries behind the TVA.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 episodes you're like, who is this other Loki? Then you find out that character is really flawed and is kind of a good guy or an anti-hero who was wronged by the TVA and wants justice. And the relationship that forms between the 2 Lokis is great. Owen Wilson is great. The Judge Rainslayer was really good. I just thought this was a phenomenal show, and it didn't feel like what these other ones do, because I always complain that these shows are too short, like 6 episodes. That's not a show.
Yeah.
But this felt like, it didn't really feel like a show, as it felt like you could watch it in a sit-in, and it could be a long 6-hour movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you expect from these shows, if they're going to be so short. But I thought this was a great, not just show, I thought this was a great 6-hour movie.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I definitely think, like you said, Loki is the strongest show out of the ones they released last year. And I also feel like apart from WandaVision, where it was kind of doing the sitcom thing, all the other shows that they released last year still feel like, in some extent, like they still feel MCU related with how they look, the tone of them, etc. Loki just feels like its own thing. Like, I can't really, tonally and the way it looks and everything like that, and the way the story, I can't really compare it to anything else within the MCU. It just feels like it's kind of doing its own thing, and I think that's why it works so well, because it isn't trying so hard to kind of be, it has to connect to this, it has to look like that. It just does its own thing while still being a part of the MCU, and I just really appreciated that, especially, like you said, when it delves kind of head first into all the multiverse stuff. The more it goes on, especially that second to last episode where you see the different Loki variants, which at the time I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work, and then the episode happened and I was like, okay, that was really satisfying. You see just enough of it, like to the point where you want to see more. And I suppose that's the best thing about this show, is that like it just teases at all the multiverse stuff, where like you see it and you're just like, okay, I can't wait to see where they take this sort of that concept in future MCU stuff. Like you said, I thought the cast were all great. Owen Wilson's fantastic in the show. The chemistry between him and Loki was like the thing, as well as like Sylvie as well. But for me, I thought the actual main thing keeping the show going was the chemistry and the friendship between Owen Wilson's character and Loki. Like, it starts off a bit, you're not sure where it's going to go, but the fact that the friendship that kind of blossoms between the two, I genuinely really liked, and I really liked how they did that. I don't really know what to say. I just really like Loki. I didn't have high expectations going into it, a little bit like you, but once it actually came out, I was like, that was way better than it had any right to be.
Exactly. And I do want to piggyback off real quick.
Yeah.
The main thing that blew me away was the Jonathan Majors, I believe his name is, who is confirmed to be Kane the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3. So the fact that he shows up and that He Who Remains is just a variant of Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And that dude, the He Who Remains, is technically the good one.
Yeah.
Who enslaved everyone and did all this horrible stuff. So I'm like, that's the good one?
Yeah.
What's the bad one like? It just really fascinated me because I believe that Kane is the next big bad after Thanos. It's going to be Kane.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that this was his introduction, I was not expecting that. And the fact that a variant of him was pulling the strings, so powerful and all, just to be considered the good one.
Yeah.
It was just really... It just blew me away. I was like, what a great introduction for that character, in my opinion.
I can't wait to see what they... Again, his character in that final episode, they give you just enough where you're like, I feel like I've seen enough... I feel like I've seen what I need to see, and I can't wait to see what they do with him in, like, Ant-Man 3. And Jonathan Majors is a really talented actor, so I can easily see him pulling off all these different variants like really easily. I feel like that I only have one minor issue with this show, and that's kind of looking at it as a whole. And as much as I really liked the last episode, I feel like I don't get me wrong, I like dialogue driven stuff, but I feel like it's a bit too dialogue heavy. Like, the majority of the episode is Sylvie and Loki sat at a desk with Kang, and I realised there's a lot of exposition they need. I realised that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be explained, but it just got to the point where it's like, okay, are we going to do anything else other than have Sylvie and Loki at a desk?
Personally, I wasn't that bugged by it because I was so fascinated because the show did such a good job setting up everything that when they did do an exposition jump, which I'm not surprised they did, they kind of had to, I was fine with it personally. I mean, maybe on repeat viewings, it would be kind of boring, but that first viewing, watching it, I thought I was really...
I mean, I don't think that episode would work. I think the thing that keeps that whole episode, like, I don't think it's awful by any means. I just think it kind of drags the show down in terms of pacing, and that is the last episode, so I was expecting it to kind of go out with a bang in a little bit. And the very end of that episode is brilliant because it literally does end on a massive, like, what the hell thing. But everything in that episode leading up to that final scene, I was kind of expecting something else.
Now that we've finished with that, let's go on to What If. There isn't really that much that I have to say about it, but if you have a lot to say, that's cool. But this is what I like to call the filler show of the year. We had Black Widow, which was the filler movie, in my opinion. Here we have the filler show, because it was just a bunch of one-offs, which is cool and all. They get to experiment, because I believe this is the first Marvel Studios animation thing they've done. So they get to experiment with their animation style, which a lot of it was pretty solid and all. But the only two episodes I can think of that really stuck with me was the Doctor Strange one, which was insanely good. Like, it had no right to be that good. And the one where, I forgot what it was called, it's where all the Avengers get killed by Hank Pym. That one was really good too, the evil Hank Pym. I know you mentioned you haven't seen all of them. I haven't finished the last two myself, so that's part of the reason why I don't want to spend that much.
I mean, I've not seen all the episodes, but I've seen like a good chunk of them to kind of have a good idea of what the show's going for. And like you said, I quite like the anthology show, like the anthology way they're doing it. Like, it almost feels like Marvel's version of like something like Black Mirror, where like each episode is unrelated and you're just kind of getting separate story each time. But one thing I really appreciated about this show, my overall opinion on it is that it's fine. I don't think it's particularly mind-blowing or it's particularly bad. I just think it's okay. But one thing I really like about this show, and it kind of sets it apart from other anthology shows, is that most anthology shows, again, like Black Mirror, they just kind of have separate stories and that's it. This show has separate stories up until the last two, where it starts to link everything together, and I really like the fact that they did that.
Okay.
And it does it in a way that doesn't feel, what's the word? Like half-assed. It doesn't feel like right, we got to grab that and that and that. It felt like they deliberately told those series of stories for a reason. That being said, though, like I said, I think the show is just fine. The animation, it kind of varies. There are times where it genuinely looks really stunning, and there are other times where it's like, okay, they must have been on a bit of a budget with that. But I think, like, the ones that I do think are good episodes, I do think are quite good. Like, I think choosing to start the series with the Captain Carter one was a really good idea, because it kind of sets up the kind of tone and what to expect with the other episodes.
Yeah.
My personal favourite episodes have to be... I'm kind of a little bit like you. I do really, really like the Doctor Strange one. Just because it feels like 10 times darker than any of the other episodes.
It isn't that it's just dark. It's just it's one of those things that got me thinking.
Yeah.
Like, I really sat there and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And the fact that Doctor Strange is going to be in the movie, so it actually made sense to watch it, right? Because that's the same one, right? The evil Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That's him. So the fact that you didn't waste your time watching this, that it's actually going to carry over.
One of my other favourite episodes, I thought the final two episodes were really good. Not just with how it brought everything together, but I just thought it cohesively worked as a story. My other favourite episode was the zombies one, because not just because it's zombies. That's a really that's a really lazy answer. But the comic of Marvel Zombies is one that has fascinated me ever since I saw it on I saw it on the shelf in a bookstore when I was a kid, and it's always fascinated me, just that concept of, yeah, what if they just turned into zombies, like if something happened and that just was a thing. And the fact that that they actually dedicated an episode to that story, that comic, I thought was really cool. And having read that comic, they do take certain aspects of the story from the comic and make it fit within that episode. There is one thing about this show, though, that annoys me a little bit. And I think part of that is to do with the fact that it is animated, and most animated shows that are released nowadays have episodes of a length of about 20 to 30 minutes. And all the episodes for What If are 20 minutes long, like, give or take. Some are 25, but the majority of them are 20 minutes long. My main issue with the show, and I felt this immediately from the Captain Carter episode, is that it kind of rushes all the stories. Like, the stories are really interesting, but it feels like it's rushing through everything just to fit it within a 20-minute time frame.
No, yeah, I agree. So, with that said, we have one more show to go, and that is Hawkeye, which came out fittingly around Christmas time, which is a Christmas show, which I love it when these type of stuff that has nothing to do with Christmas, you know, like superheroes and all, is Christmas themed, because Christmas is my favorite time of the year. So, getting into this, it's really hard to really say stuff about this, because the main thing that people hyped up was Kingpin, and I have a lot of problems with Kingpin in this show, especially with the ending. I don't know if what I think is true, but how it ends, it makes you think.
Yeah.
So before I really dive into that, do you have anything about this show? Because the only stuff I can think of was Haley Steinfeld was great, Hawkeye was great, and I like the Christmas theme.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, for me, this is one of those shows where it did the reverse of, like, what Falcon and the Winter Soldier did. Like, the first few episodes I thought, yeah, this is okay. But then there's an episode where it's basically, the majority of the episode is a car chase. and you get to see them use a variety of different arrows. And from that point on, the show maintained like a level of quality that was lacking from like the first 2 episodes, and it just kind of got better and better from that point on. I don't think this is my favourite show out of the ones they did. Loki still has that title, but I think this is like a solid second in my books anyway, because once it gets good, it just stays good. It starts off a bit rocky, but it stays good. Yeah, I don't have much to say about it other than the fact that the chemistry between Hawkeye and oh god, I've forgotten her name. Why have I forgotten it? Kate Bishop. Yeah, yeah. The chemistry between them, I really liked the way they did that. And it was just really nice to see.
I will say, real quick, the flashbacks in this show were really good. The opening with her little seeing the battle in New York to Florence Pugh, Dustin in the bathroom and all, those two were really good scene stealers for me. I like the flashbacks.
Yeah, I will admit there are some shows where like flashbacks can kind of be overdone, but this show, like you said, did it really well. Especially the one where Yelena gets turned to dust, because I feel like with any other Marvel related thing since Infinity War and Endgame, you've never been given a decent perspective of someone's, like, of one of the people that got turned to dust. And that flashback gives you a really good idea of, like, it really was a matter of seconds for them. I had no idea Kingpin was going to be in it until the name drop that happened in the episode. Like, I saw some people rumouring it, but I was like, no, that's not gonna...
I knew it was gonna happen because Vincent D'Onofrio can't keep his mouth shut. He was on Twitter teasing it. He's like, we'll have to see, and all that. And he was liking tweets about theories about it. So I'm like, yeah, he's in it. But, man, they did such a bad job with him. Because not only his reveal was on a little phone, right?
Yeah.
So the reveal was horrible. Like, for real.
Yeah.
But the episode he's in, he's fine. But what they did with him, like, did they really kill him off? Like, seriously? Yeah, off screen? Or was that...
I keep thinking back. Have you seen Chris Stuckman's review for Hawkeye?
I haven't, no.
So he brings up this pretty much the same point that you're bringing up, but the way he words it, I can't remember what he says, but the way he words it, it's just like, you can't just bring him back for one episode and then just get rid of him. I'm going to put my hands up now. I've not seen all of Daredevil. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I've not seen the whole thing. But I know from the clips I've seen is that Vincent D'Onofrio, like, kind of steals every scene he's in as the Kingpin in that show.
He's really, yeah. So that's just a disservice if that is the case.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense.
Yeah, it just seems kind of pointless. Like, let's bring him back for an episode and then get rid of him. But there is another part of me of, like, maybe they did just do a massive middle finger to the audience. Maybe they just did that.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how to feel about it, because, like, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We don't know at this point.
It really kind of soured my taste for the show.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's going so well, and then that happens, and then it's just like, okay, right, weird choice. Because, like, this is the thing. That final episode is really good, and if they just left it with the police turning up to the shop where Kate beat the crap out of Kingpin, like, if they just had the police turn up to that shop and he's missing, that would have been a great way to end it. Like, his arc for that episode anyway. Like, if they ended it there and just had him missing...
Yeah, and he's still out there.
Yeah, if they had it just end there, like, his perspective anyway, if they just had it end there, and they don't, like, there's no body there, that would have been great. But they had to add that one extra scene, and now everyone's just as confused as we are.
But yeah, we got through it. We talked about all the shows, and I just want to say thank you again to Aaron for doing this with me, because this was so cool that we were not only able to do one but 2 videos talking about everything Marvel released, because that's just how much they release. and I had a great time doing a collab with you. And do you have any final thoughts you want to say?
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing these videos. And again, like considering how much stuff they released last year, just covering just the movies or just the TV shows wouldn't do it justice because they released so much and there is so much to talk about. I think that's the most Marvel stuff we've gotten in one go. I mean, even in previous years, it's been like, yeah, we've had about 4 movies or 3 movies in one year, but this was like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it kind of wrote itself. We had to do a video on this.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this was great. I had such a fun time, and I can't wait for everyone to check out these videos. Not only this video here, but also the one on Aaron's channel. And thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe and go check out Aaron's other videos, and go check his Twitter and all of his socials, and check out my stuff too. Link to hit the button, subscribe button, comment down below any of your thoughts on the Marvel stuff that came out last year. And thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one, guys.